got several names.
William H. Bonney, Kid Antrim,
And Billy the Kid.
Believe me, I really do not want to kill you. Make sure he gets a decent burial.
Some advice. Don't mess up your own life for people who don't matter.
It matters to me.
Let's go have some fun before they put us in the ground.
Tom, Eileen, Daniel, good morning.
Good morning.
Nice to meet you.
Oh, thank you so much for joining me for Billy the Kid. I'm about 4 or 5 episodes in. It's incredible. I'm a Western fanatic, and you guys really capture the genre and the mood, and it's just brilliant. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks very much.
Well, Tom, how does one prepare to play one of the most murderous outlaws in American history? He's a damaged man, isn't he?
He is very damaged, yeah. I mean, the beauty of the show, first of all, is that you get to see him getting damaged over time. And I think that as an actor is a blessing, because you don't have to come in having it all ready to go. You know, you get to kind of grow with the character. And so, you know, literally from the age of 9, where Jonah Collier is playing a young Billy, I get to see him do his thing, and then I get to step into those boots and kind of get damaged too. And so you literally get to feel it happening to you as an actor. So that's kind of a blessing. But preparation wise, I mean, I had to learn to ride because I hadn't really ridden much before. I'd ridden like twice in my life, and both times were not very fruitful. So I had to learn to ride. So that was kind of a crash course, 3-week riding kind of process. And amazingly got to a point where like Daniel and I were doing all our own stunts and doing crazy stunt sequences, riding with like 100 head of cattle and stuff, which I never
didn't really use much stuntmen, really.
Not at all. No.
We did probably 98% of everything you see on screen.
Yeah, so you had to go.
This guy is hard to slow down. Tom got so good at riding. No, like actually, he got so good at riding. It was in such a short period of time. It was phenomenal.
So Daniel, you had to go to cowboy boot camp as well?
kind of. I guess so.
Daniel's being humble. He already rides pretty well because he grew up riding a little bit. So I learned a lot from Dan.
I hadn't ridden for about 15 years, so sort of coming back to it. But it's also a different style. We ride English saddle, and they ride Western, and the horses, the way they've trained, are so different to how I've grown up riding. So there was that sort of shift, but it was mostly just trying to keep up with him. He'd already been there for a while, so I think I was on the back foot there.
And Eileen, you know, Billy's mother, the hardships of the frontier, determined to give her boys a chance while still keeping her Catholic principles. That is just rare qualities, isn't it?
Oh gosh, I think I would hope it wouldn't be rare qualities. I think a lot of people are pretty big fans of their mothers. I would say that. I think it's just maybe a rare situation. But then again, like, you know, the story of immigration touches so many, and it is so relatable. So, but it's a phenomenal character, and the idea of getting to play a part like this and taking your family and heading west at this period in history was just a complete joy. I feel like, yeah, it was unbelievable.
And Daniel, you're the character that's on the shoulder, the devil on Billy's shoulder. You know, you're the one pushing him into a life of crime. So
yeah,
as long as you feel guilty, I guess that's all that matters, right?
I feel guilty about taking him to a life of crime.
Or mostly your character.
But Dan, you should personally feel guilty, man.
Yes, you should. Yeah, because it's like, you know, Billy's trying to do the right thing, you know, and your character just keeps, you know, he's feeling him out. I love how he's just like studying him, and he goes, "Hey, you want to rustle some cattle?" This is like out of nowhere, right? Or, "Hey, you want to rob this Chinese laundry?" It's like, whoa. It's like, and you know, as Billy's life just gets worse and worse, I mean, his back against the wall. And so sometimes, I mean, I see you sometimes as a hero too. You know, you're helping Billy out and his family. You understand what he's going through.
I saw him in that way. I didn't see him as a villainous character, and really anyway. I mean, I think he's a flawed character, definitely. I think he's quite awfully racist throughout the story, and he's obviously you know, he's a thief, and he's sort of strayed from society, but he also has his sort of moral code, and he's trying. I think with Billy, he's on the search for somebody he can kind of run with, And I'm not sure that there was that many people that he sort of found that sort of kinship or has that equality, that the ability with. And Billy is definitely like, there's brotherhood, like beyond just even a skill level. There's something deeper to their relationship, and maybe I never fully understood. I think it's so many different things, but I think that initially starts with meeting Billy at the time of his life, where he's lost his mother and his father, and that sort of kinship of Jesse's lost his father and mother to suicide, and I think that's sort of like the first bond as far as on an emotional core. But then they share so many, a love for adventure and skill and ability, and I think they're also both probably maybe a little bit more acute than some of the other guys that they're running with. They have ideas, they have plans.
He teaches them survival. That's what I saw.
Teaches them survival, yeah.
Right.
They're both surviving because they're both young men who are kind of lost right then. Like I feel there's the thing, the word brotherhood that Daniel said is kind of hits the nail in the coffin. That's they're brothers, but they also loathe each other at times, like brothers often do.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah.
And Eileen, the moment that stands out for me so far in the series is when Kathleen has consumption and Billy cuddles her in bed, because Billy is such a mama's boy. So you can see that throughout the whole. But that scene was just so emotional. I was wondering, what was it like shooting that scene that day? Was there any improvisation at all, or because it looked like that just looked so real?
Oh, well, it's a real joy to be able to do a scene with, I'm just looking like the Brady Bunch of where he is on my thing, to do a scene with Mr. Tom Blyth. Like, it was just everything felt so natural. It's amazing how you can suspend the belief that just felt very real in that moment. And it felt like saying goodbye. And it's also like the moment where Kathleen really was more vulnerable in a way that she never really was. Her vulnerability is apparent, but she had such strength with it. And in those last moments, to like have Billy really looking after her as opposed to
she never gave up. She's like, I'm not ready to go. I mean, she was fighting
right to the very end.
And such a role model.
And then made it okay for him. You know what I mean? Didn't want to go, and then said, I'm going to go and you're going to be fine. Like even in those moments, like that maternal instinct and who they were and everything. But it was
stay away from that Jesse. Yeah.
Well, I didn't meet him, so I didn't know. Oh, hey.
I wonder if she would approve of Jesse.
No, of course she wouldn't.
No way.
In what world would she ever approve of Jesse?
And she would know too. She would know, Billy, where are you at all hours of the night? Where are you getting this new clothes, and how are you paying for everything? A typical nosy mother. She would have known what was going on.
Yeah.
And in our final moments here, Tom, I love how you handled the gun when you shot the snake. I mean, that looked like you took practice. You even had your taxi driver moment in front of the mirror. I love that.
I appreciate you noticing the taxi driver. That was like Otto and I, the director of the first 2 episodes, we referred to that as the taxi driver moment the whole way through. That took a lot of practice, to be honest. It was I still practice this day. I have a practice pistol, like a block of aluminum pistol, at home in Brooklyn. Yeah, translate for you. And I still practice, for a potential season 2 coming up. I'm always practicing, and it also becomes like a stress ball almost. Like I found it after a while, it became very addicted to it, and I now and Daniel and I would, like, in between takes, we'd show off and like
drop guns.
Yeah, it's got guns, and it's amazing. Like, you get so used to your weapon as your kind of, it's attached to your hip, and it's your, like, in that world, it's your best friend, and it's the thing that's going to save you. And it's funny when you switch guns, or when Daniel and I would switch and practice very safely with prop supervision, you feel like this alienation, and you can see how attached these cowboys would have been to their weapon as their kind of like first line of protection. It was their thing, and it was almost like an extension of their arm.
Well, yeah, the subtle differences of the length of the gun, the shortness, the weight, like and all of that changes how you can spin it.
But when he did that, when he shot that snake, as one that was in the tent, we all did go,
Oh,
That was very
some
good.
method acting right there.
And it was a real snake too.
Yeah.
No. Kidding,
Well,
kidding.
well, congratulations, everybody, on a wonderful series, and I enjoyed it immensely. And let's talk again soon for season 2. All right.
Awesome.
Oh, hell
Thank you
yeah.
so much.
Take care. Thanks so much.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, mate.